Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Film Box Podcast. Your humble, very humble friend. I'm so humble, they call me Mr. Humble, Aaron Souza, and I'm joined just by my co-host here, Mr. Connor.
My brother in Christ, how are you today?
Whoa, brother in Christ. Wow. I didn't know I had that kind of pull.
Well, I for a second thought you forgot your name because it took you a little while to get there, but we're here.
No, I was just ad-libbing till I thought of something to say.
Like your name.
like my name. But yeah, so welcome to another episode of the Film Box Podcast. We're really happy to be here and happy that you've tuned in. So we got a full slate of stuff to talk about today. Obviously, there's a lot going on in the film industry all the time. Per usual. So we got some news as always. Always got the news. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk a little bit about our top 3 favorite movies, what we've been, what we've been enjoying lately. We're going to do some Fantastic Four fan casting, and we're going to do a little bit of games right at the end to smooth the palate, to refresh the palate, I guess is the better term for it. The smooth the palate is not actually a thing, I don't think.
You lost me. I'll be honest. I don't know where this plane was landing, but I think you missed the runway.
Well, much like Sully, it was not where I was intending to go, but I had to crash land into the Hudson River. So,
are you implying that you're drunk right now?
No, not at all. But yeah, so I guess we can jump right into the news. And talk about a little bit about on a serious note. There was an article that was posted recently, and it's something that's been going around a little bit. Like, people have known about it, but obviously Emilia Clarke, who is most famous for Game of Thrones, also was in Star Wars. She has talked pretty candidly about having some issues health-wise during her time on Game of Thrones, talking about having she had not one but 2 brain aneurysms while she was filming the show, and so she opened up recently a little bit more about like what it's been like and how much it's what kind of things it's affected in her daily life. So if you're not familiar, Emilia Clarke, back in the filming, right after the filming of season 1 of Game of Thrones, had a brain aneurysm, really badly, to the point where she needed surgery and couldn't speak for a week, or had trouble speaking, couldn't remember her name for like a week afterwards. It was this whole thing, and then during the filming of seasons 3 and 4, had another one. And so she's talked pretty candidly about like the fact that there's still parts of her brain that are missing, that aren't being used and stuff like that. It was kind of a pretty eye-opening.
Yeah, because she had spoken to BBC's Sunday Morning, and she said, and I quote, "The amount of my brain that is no longer usable, it's remarkable that I am able to speak, sometimes articulately, and live my life completely normal with absolutely no repercussions. I am in the really, really, really small minority of people that can survive that."
Mm-hmm.
So, not only is it remarkable that she was able to speak articulately and still function, but on top of that, act for another 7 seasons.
And then do other things on top of it.
Do some movies. It's really incredible what she's been able to do.
I agree.
I hope she stays healthy from here on out.
All right. So next little piece of news that we got, Ready Player 2, the sequel to the fantastic movie Ready Player 1, which was a film adaptation of the book, is getting ready to come out soon. Looks like. So the first film was an adaptation of the 2011 novel, came in 2018. and then it performed really, really well at the box office. It was honestly a pretty solid movie. A little cheesy in terms of like how they portrayed gaming, which is always kind of the thing in the film industry. And actually, it was similar to when you see if you've ever seen Free Guy with Ryan Reynolds. It's like yes, it's a video game movie. It's cool, but also like the idea that an AI can totally overtake the media sensationally, and then have developers just be able to go into the game and like attack the AI. It's a little out there, but it's a fun movie. And so Ready Player One was kind of like that, and I enjoyed it. So I'm glad to hear that they're making a second one.
Me too. Just with all the references it makes, it's one of those movies where even if like, I know you said it was based off a novel, but it's one of those where if you don't read it, the story seems pretty easy to follow, and then you're going to see a lot of other things you'll recognize. Like I think Batman was in the first one. Some Back to the Future references, stuff like that.
Yeah, there was so many pop culture references in the first one, so I'm excited for that.
Me too.
So we also have we got a trailer that came out this week. It's the best way to describe it, I think.
Yep. So for those of you who I don't even know why I'm gonna cast this onto you guys, but the maker of Euphoria, Sam Levinson, is teaming up with The Weeknd to create a new show called The Idol. All I see on IMDb about it is a self-help guru and a leader of a modern-day cult enter a complicated relationship with a rising pop idol. And if you are like me and have seen Euphoria, Sam Levinson is a creep.
Yeah,
he has had multiple issues with his cast where they have... His thing is very explicit. A lot of nudity. Very, very like foul language, which I don't care about that. I swear a lot, but it's almost to an annoying extent.
It's too much.
It is too much, and his cast on Euphoria, a couple members have spoken out against him, saying like, "Hey, my character doesn't need to be naked here. Like, I'm not gonna get naked here."
Yeah.
So
yeah, and the issue that I'm seeing already is that the trailer for this show looks like another one of those kind of shows, which I don't really think we need.
It really feels like... So it's going to be starring The Weeknd. He's also one of the creators. Whenever someone is a creator of a show or a project and they star in it and it looks as sleazy as this, really makes you question the intent behind it.
Yeah, like why are you actually making this?
Why are you starring in a show where you are going to be having some pretty explicit relationships with like just beautiful young women?
Yeah,
it feels like feels a little exploitative, if you ask me.
I agree 100%.
Will I watch it? Probably. Just because I liked Euphoria at first, but it became very much style over substance. And that can only go on for so long. Very
true. But turning from the not so good to something that's really interesting is we got some new casting news for the Dune movie, Dune 2. Obviously the sequel to Dune 1. Great movie. Admittedly, I haven't seen it yet, so I'm behind the ball on that. It's really bad. But we got some new castings there. Christopher Walken is set to join the cast, which is awesome. I just cannot wait for that. But also joining the cast is Austin Butler, most recently from the Elvis movie, which I've heard is fantastic. Leah Seydoux also going to be joining the cast, so we got that. Let's see. Florence Pugh is going to be coming in as well. So I mean, it's really, really interesting. I'm excited. And then obviously the rest of the cast is returning as well. Zendaya,
Timothy Chalamet.
Yes, there we go. Why I don't know why I couldn't think of his name. But yeah, he's coming back. So I'm really excited for it. I want to see the first Dune. I just haven't gotten to it, so I will be getting to it.
Yeah, I also have not watched the first. That's on me. It looks super. Not gonna blame you on that. That one.
That's on me.
It looks super interesting. I know it's obviously based off the novel Dune. Haven't read that. So it's an intimidating project, but I'm a big boy. I can handle it.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's gonna be starting filming very soon. I believe it's starting filming, or it's already been filmed. I'm not 100% sure.
I feel like I saw it started already, but
it might have. But yeah, no, it's just be looking out for that, because it'll be good, I'm sure. But speaking of HBO properties, because Dune is on HBO, HBO Max is adding a huge collection of A24 films starting in August. And so they are going to be they are adding basically like almost the entire catalog of films that A24 has made over the years.
Yeah, I think so far it's 28 projects are coming over, but A24 has been pumping out some high quality movies.
Yes, they have.
Like, this is just even from the horror side of things, because that's where I like watching my movies. X, a movie that I really loved, came out last year. Men, recently watched that. Thought it was okay. But you have the Vitch, or the Witch if you're a casual.
That is not going to be on HBO Max.
Yeah, I'm sorry. These aren't on, but I'm just saying more to how deep their bag is.
Oh, they are. Yeah,
because then you also still have Hereditary, Midsummer,
also
The Lighthouse. It comes at night. Like these movies aren't going to be there yet. I would assume if they're already working to get this many projects on, they will come.
Yeah, for sure. So the list of movies that we do have include 2015's The Room, or not The Room, just Room. With Brie Larson. She got Best Actress for that movie. Ex Machina, which is a fantastic sci-fi film. Amy, which is an Oscar-winning documentary about Amy Winehouse. And especially with the biopic coming out relatively soon about Amy Winehouse, definitely a watch there. The movie Locke is going to be coming out with Tom Hardy. We've got The Spectacular Now, which is honestly a really, really good kind of coming-of-age romance type of story movie that I really liked. And it has Miles Teller in it. So, awesome.
We have Tusk, which it's a horror movie that has one of the most ridiculous premises that I think I've seen in a while. I'm not going to say what that is, because I think you should watch the movie yourself and find it out for yourself, but I think it's worth watching just to stick through it.
Yeah. But lots of good movies. So August 1st it's coming out if you have HBO Max. New movies to check out for sure.
Yes, definitely worth it.
But yeah, so moving from that, I wanted to ask you a little bit. I want to talk about our favorite movies. I want to give the listeners a little bit more insight into what we like for movies, how we feel. So let's talk about our top 3 favorite movies. Why don't we do that?
Yes. Why don't we?
So what's your in third? Let's go 3, 2, 1. So let's start with your third favorite movie, I guess.
Um, ooh, that's tough. So I'm actually going to defer to you on this one because
All right.
I've watched too many movies. I have my top two, but just this third one is so hard to figure out.
So I'm cheating a little bit, and I have a tie for third right now.
That's fair because I had nothing.
And it's actually a 3-way tie.
Oh my god! Okay, moving the goalposts.
So yeah, well, just a little bit, just moving it over a little bit. No, I base a movie, like how I enjoy a movie, based on how much I can rewatch it. Like if I can sit down and watch it and be like, okay, I just want to watch it again, then it instantly comes into my top 10, roughly. You know, I give or take. But right now in that third spot, I've got the movie Chef with Jon Favreau. Instant feel good classic. Every time I watch it, I'm just happy, and I love it. It's so good. Then I've also got Tick Tick Boom with Andrew Garfield. Ooh. Has moved into some of my favorites. The music is amazing in that movie. It just, for whatever reason, like I watched that movie and then instantly rewatched it the next day, and then rewatched it again the next day.
Like, I downloaded the soundtrack to it.
Yeah,
like, that's just how much I loved it.
Honestly, it's just too good. Like it makes 2 hours go by like it's nothing. So I was that's definitely in there. And then a movie that I actually started rewatching today a little bit was Goodfellas. That's one of my favorite gangster movies of all time. So I just yeah. That's rounding out my number 3 spot. It's 3 movies in my 3 spot. You got anything?
Yes, I thank you for stalling long enough.
I got you. See, we got each other. I got you.
So, my third favorite movie, Cabin in the Woods.
Oh, interesting. A horror movie.
Interesting. I'm in the same boat as you. What makes a movie join this kind of top tier is just how easy it is to rewatch it. And one of the things I love about Cabin in the Woods is not only is it really fun to watch because it does have some comedy elements on top of being like a horror movie. It's got a great cast. You got Thor himself. Before he was Thor, there was like some
Baby
weird...
Thor?
Baby Thor. It was like weird. Like he filmed it, and then the movie didn't come out until after Thor came out. So technically that's Baby Thor, but whatever.
Mixed Thor.
Yeah. But it also, like, it can explain every single horror movie that's ever existed, which I find to be extremely interesting. And every time I watch it, I just look for new little details.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
What's your number 2?
So my number 2, and I will ask you how the parameters need to be here. But my number 2 is Star Wars, and I could just put in like all 6 of the original 6 movies in that spot. But if I have to choose one, I will always choose Star Wars: A New Hope.
Very fair.
It was one of the first movies that Star Wars is one of the first franchises that I really got to watch as a kid and fell in love with. And episode 4, for whatever reason, just gave me that mystical, like, this is cool feeling. The music was awesome. The story was awesome. So that's always going to be in my number 2. But if I could just put the whole saga, all 6, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, if I could just lump those all into the number 2 spot, I think I'm good. So far in my top 3, I've got 9 movies.
And it's funny, too, that you don't acknowledge the last 3.
I don't. I just didn't like those ones. Force Awakens was fine, but Last Jedi was not, and Rise of Skywalker was even more not.
Yeah, Rise of Skywalker, I think I saw... I didn't even finish it. I made it like...
Oh, God.
I made it like halfway through, and I was like, I'm not enjoying this.
Yikes.
And I'm the type of person who I don't need to finish something. If I'm just not enjoying it, I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah, it would have been better if they just didn't make those movies as much as I wanted them.
Yeah.
But what's your number 2?
So, my number 2 is Moneyball.
Ooh, that's a good
Brad
pick.
Pitt, Jonah Hill. I'm a huge baseball fan. And the Moneyball is about I want to say it was the 2002 Oakland Athletics,
Mm-hmm.
and about how they tried to compete with large market baseball teams just by focusing on analytics instead.
Mm-hmm.
And right off the bat, it combined like two of my favorite things, analytics and baseball. I say that as an analyst.
As a professional analyst.
Yeah.
And not so professional baseball fan.
Yeah. It was really fun. That like it's kind of like a boring movie. It's not like a whole lot of action, but
it's a drama.
Yeah. It's Brad Pitt is really good in it. Jonah Hill is really good in it. There's like a personal connection I have to it too that I don't want to put out there because I don't want to dox anyone, but yeah, it's a great movie. Really enjoy watching it over and over again.
100%. All right, and now our number 1 favorite movies.
Drum roll, please.
Drum roll, please. And this one I actually have one movie for, so we'll just drum roll it a little bit. Oh God, we're switching roles. Okay, so my number 1 film has been and will always be forever till the end of time. Good Will Hunting.
That's also
that is.
Mine.
Oh, let's go! That is my favorite movie of all time.
Same.
I can watch that movie anytime, anywhere. If someone says, "Yeah, you want to watch Good Will Hunting?" It's a yes from me. The story is good. The acting is great. It's one of my favorite Robin Williams performances in ever. It's actually one of my favorite acting performances ever. It's just great, and I can't speak enough high praise for it.
Yeah, it was one of those movies I saw way too late. But once I finally did see it, it was just, I don't want to say life-changing, but it definitely it made me feel something that has stuck with me since I watched it that first time. Yeah, it's just acting great, terrific, script and all of that. Just, how you like them apples.
Yeah. And it goes to show that you don't need, especially in today's day and age, you don't need to have a movie that has a ton of CGI, that does a ton of, action stuff to make a great movie. I mean, that movie was made in the 90s, but that's still around the time that Star Wars Episode 1 was coming out and sort of that CGI renaissance.
Yeah,
but you can still make good movies without it.
It's like a simple plot. Nothing too crazy or world bending, but everyone put their all into it, and it shows.
So what's your, now that I've stolen one number 1, what's your other number 1?
So it's funny because we had touched on Miles Teller before.
Oh God, if you say Top Gun.
No. that movie was great. Don't get me wrong. Not in my top 3. Whiplash is my favorite movie of all time.
All right.
Or I
see you.
Putting, we had talked about, just actors giving it their all. Miles Teller is incredible in Whiplash. J.K. Simmons.
Mr. J. Jonah Jameson.
God, he was so good in that movie.
Yep.
I think I've watched it over 10 times now. And each time, just the ending, when he takes over because it's about a drummer. For those of you who don't know, I highly, highly recommend watching it.
Obviously, it's your favorite movie.
Yeah. His final solo, it almost got me to buy a drum set.
Really?
Just to learn how to do it.
Wow.
It's so good.
Yeah. I never pegged you as a music movie kind of guy.
Oh, brother, I love musicals.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Tick Tick Boom was on the fence looking in.
On the fence, yeah. I love
Grease.
that movie.
High School Musical, the classics.
Oh yeah, you just had to slide that one in there, just right under the radar. Just the classics, including High School Musical. That great movie. No. So yeah, there's our top three. So we got a little overboard. I think we I had
you had
six.
10.
I technically had 10 top three movies.
So yeah. I only had
yeah.
4.
Yeah, so I just wanted to do that to give, people a little idea of what kind of movies we like, Everyone's got a little bit different taste, and that's one of the beauties of film, I think, is, you can have two people you can meet and have totally different ideas of what is good, what you enjoy. Obviously there are movies that everyone likes, or most everyone, but there are also movies that someone may like and someone may hate. So
yeah, it's funny how you can sit two people like you and I, we can sit in the same theater right next to each other, watch the same movie, and we can come out feeling the exact opposite about it.
Right, exactly. It's one of the beauties of film.
Beauties of life.
And so speaking of some film stuff, as we do on this podcast, seeing as how it's about film, San Diego Comic-Con's going on right now.
Ooh.
And there's a lot of things that are expected to be announced over the weekend. A lot of things that are a lot of studios are making announcements, casting announcements, and one of the things that was supposed to reportedly be announced this weekend, but I guess also has reportedly been moved back, was the new Fantastic Four movie for Marvel. And we were really intrigued by the idea of finally having a Fantastic Four movie, so we went ahead and did some fan castings. And so we have not told each other our castings at all.
Nope.
But we wanted to go through our casting a little bit together here while we're on the podcast. So we're going to be looking at we're going to be casting for director, Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Woman, Human Torch, The Thing, Doctor Doom, and then like a cameo role. So, all right. So you want to hit us off with your director?
So before we even get into that, I just want to touch on the cast that have come before.
Yes.
As we have had technically 3 iterations of
Jesus Christ.
the Fantastic Four. First one came in like 1994, but I didn't watch it.
No one cares about it.
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't even care to look up who was in it. But the 2005 one was one of the first superhero movies I watched. That starred Ian Grufford as Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic. Had everyone's childhood crush, Jessica Alba, as Sue Storm, or Mrs. Fantastic. I forget what her name was again. Invisigirl. Captain America himself, Chris Evans, as Johnny Storm, or the Human Torch. And Michael Chiklis as The Thing, Ben Grimm, as well as starring Julian McMahon as Victor Von Doom, or Doctor Doom.
Doctor Doom.
Now, those movies weren't great, but they were fun. A movie that was not great and not fun was the, I want to say it came out in 2015, Fantastic Four, which had Miles Teller as Reed Richards.
I'm glad I didn't cast Miles Teller. I almost did.
Kate Mara as Invisigirl, Mrs. Fantastic. Michael B. Jordan as the Human Torch. Jamie Bell as The Thing. And then Toby Kebbell as Doctor Doom. Which,
interesting.
It wasn't their fault. That movie was bad.
Yeah.
Everything else was the fault.
With that in mind, and those actors in mind, who'd you pull for director?
So, I had 2 ideas. So, the first idea was Joseph Kosinski, probably most known for right now as directing Top Gun Maverick.
Okay.
I thought that movie was like visually stunning. I like the way he was able to work a big cast and make you care about everyone, even the people who are supposed to be like the assholes. of the team. He made you really like them. So yeah, that was mainly why I picked him. But I also had a sleeper pick.
Yep.
John Krasinski.
Oh my God, really? So
Yes.
you had Kaczynski and Krasinski.
Yeah, JK and JK.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, because as you may or may not know, John Krasinski was Mr. Fantastic in Doctor Strange, the new one. I forgot the name already. Multiverse of Madness.
Oh my God. Just came out, man.
I wasn't a fan. I'll put it at that.
I didn't mind it.
He was Reed Richards, but because of all the variant multiverse stuff that Marvel wants, he doesn't have to be starring in it. He could direct it if he wants. So, with that in mind... Oh, wait. Who do you have directing? I'm sorry. Almost got carried ahead.
Yeah, you almost left me out. So, I actually went with a pick, a bit of a sleeper pick, but it makes a lot of sense in my mind. I'm going with Chloe Zhao to direct.
Okay.
Now, already approved director. She won Best Director for Nomadland, and she's already got experience directing not only an ensemble type film, but also a Marvel ensemble film because she did The Eternals. And Marvel in the MCU is very notorious right now for wanting to bring back directors to direct more movies. So I'm thinking like another ensemble film. This is a team film. Why not get someone who just directed a Marvel team film to come and direct another Marvel team film, and also someone who's already gotten a Best Director Oscar? Chloe Zhao. I think it's a good pick.
I agree. I think that is a very solid pick.
So what about Mr. Fantastic?
So, as I had already said, I'm not doing John Krasinski, even though he's already been in one of these. And for this fan cast, at least for me, this is not like who I'm predicting. This is who I want to see do it.
Yep.
So, I'm cheating. I have two names.
Yep. Again.
Yes, because I can't abide by the rules.
I don't think either of us can.
No. My first pick, Jamie Dornan.
Interesting. Of 50 Shades of Grey fame.
Yes, 50 Shades of Grey.
50 Shades of Mr. Fantastic.
50 Shades Darker. And whatever the other one was named. But he was
Freed,
also...
I think.
Freed, whatever.
Shades Freed.
He was also in Belfast, which was like actually a good movie. So
damn, don't throw shade at 50 Shades.
I will throw shade at 50 Shades. So he was one of my options. My second option, and this one is a cut against the grain, if you will.
Interesting.
William Jackson Harper.
Now remind me who that is.
He was in The Good Place. He was in Midsummer. What else was he in? And he was in We Broke Up, which came out last year. Now.
Oh, okay. Chidi in Good Place. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
I couldn't remember his name.
Yep.
But because Mr. Fantastic, he has to be like the smartest man in the universe. True. I want someone who's proven that he could be like the smartest person in a room already.
Someone who can play that. Yeah, I like that pick. That's an interesting pick. So mine's a little boring, but I did go with John Krasinski for my Mr. Fantastic. But my reasoning here,
idea for once.
My reasoning here though is that they already established it in the MCU, and it'll piss me off if they don't continue it. It's like they already established that in Multiverse of Madness, they established that Doctor Strange was the same person in every timeline, and I know people are going to come at me and say, but Loki, nothing. I don't want to hear it.
That doesn't go against that doesn't support your ideas, so you
there was still another Loki in Loki, so it doesn't matter. But like Earth 838 had a Doctor Strange that was exactly like the current Doctor Strange. So it only makes sense that in our version of Fantastic Four that we have the John Krasinski Mr. Fantastic that was in Earth 838 in Multiverse of Madness. That's what I'm going with.
All right. You can be boring, I guess.
I'm going to be boring. but I'm going to be boring and have it make sense.
Okay. So now, Mrs. Sue Storm.
Yes. So
you can go first.
I want to take this because I have an interesting idea for, not interesting, but like I wanted to take the idea of, like I know there was always in the comics and stuff like that, there was a romance between Mr. Fantastic and Sue Storm and all that kind of stuff. And I'm throwing that all out the window. I don't want it in my movie. But what I do want to do is kind of have like that idea of the mutant siblings again, like we had in Age of Ultron with Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. Yep. I wanted to say Silver Surfer, but that was Fantastic Four.
You're getting ahead of yourself.
So my picks for Sue Storm and further for Johnny Storm will be younger actors and actresses, and not necessarily someone who's around the same age as Mr. Fantastic to have that romance. Anyways, so my first pick is Elle Fanning.
Okay.
Daughter of Dakota Fanning, superstar actress, has acting experience in superhero movies, was in Super 8 with J.J. Abrams, and is a blonde actress, which is also true to the original character of Sue Storm. So I want to continue that. That's also my theme for Sue Storm. Or, I do have an or. I would be totally okay with Chloe Grace Moretz also coming in and playing. She was in Kick-Ass, so another actress with superhero experience. Badass woman, another blonde. I think either of those picks will fit perfectly. They're both young, around that like 25-ish age. So I think that fits perfect for me.
Okay. I can respect that. Where I went against the grain before, I am not doing that here. I have two names for everyone. I'm not gonna just preface each pick by saying that at this point. So my first pick was Elizabeth Lail.
Okay.
She was in the Netflix series You, season 1. That was his first like crush obsession.
Yep.
And she was also in Countdown. I feel like she's been able to play smart characters before, while also being strong, independent leads. So that's someone I want. I don't want her to just be like submissive towards. Submissive's like a weird word, but
yeah, be like the second fiddle.
I want her to be able to stand out on her own.
Yeah.
And with that in mind, I also picked Vanessa Kirby as someone who could be my Sue Storm. She was in the Hobbs and Shaw movie, which I haven't watched, but it's an action film. So used to combat. Same as in Mission Impossible Fallout. And she was also in a movie called Pieces of a Woman, but in that movie she plays a mother going through some emotional journey. So I feel like that adds some depth to her besides just being this smart person who can fight and turn invisible.
Interesting. So who's your pick for Human Torch?
So right now, I've been seeing a lot of other people's fan casts, some rumors, some theories about Joe Carey from Stranger Things being the Human Torch. I said, that's a good idea. I'm going to pick the guy who was better than him, to put it lightly. I'm picking Dacre Montgomery.
Oh, Dacre Montgomery? Yeah. Oh, that's a good pick. That's a good pick.
Because Johnny Storm is a hothead. He's a player. Literally just watch season 2 of Stranger Things and you will see that he is perfect for that.
Yeah.
Plus, he is younger than both the actresses I casted as Sue Storm, so we still keep that younger brother dynamic.
Yep. Interesting. So I just want to say I also went towards Stranger Things with my Human Torch casting.
Did you pick Joe Quinn?
I did not. I did. So I've got an explanation here too.
But
so my idea,
Finn Wolfhard.
I am going with Finn Wolfhard, but I want to preface this with I'm moving away from the idea that this guy's a player. He's a hothead, and I want to bring someone who obviously my Sue Storm is young, so I want my my Human Torch to be even younger. And on top of that, I want them to be a kind of character who's still learning, doesn't really know how to control their powers, that sort of like naivete, if you will. And not only do I think Finn Wolfhard can bring that, I just want to point out, and I'll send you a picture, the thing that sold me is how he looks now away from Stranger Things. He looks like someone who will absolutely be able to play like a young superhero who doesn't know how to control their powers, who doesn't know anything about really the real world. It's kind of like that naive kind of character. I just, for whatever reason, the bells clicked in my head, and I think he'd knock it out of the park.
That's fair. I mean, I see the vision you have in mind, and I think that is a good cast in there.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have said to people, my other option was Dev Patel. Once again,
so you know what? I was looking at him. I think I was looking at him for The Thing at one point.
Oh, really?
At one point, I think it was like one of the initial ones.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Speaking of The Thing, I got Alden Ehrenreich.
Oh, interesting.
One Han Solo, de-aged, as The Thing. I feel like he's kind of played like, I mean, he was Han Solo in like his Origins film. Like he has that kind of charisma. It kind of sucks that he's gonna be like in a mask essentially the entire time. Like he's not gonna show his face, but he's kind of got that swagger.
Voice acting.
Yeah, he's got like that swagger. You know how like what's his name? Bradley Cooper is playing Rocket.
Yeah, in Rocket. Yeah,
and he can still make that character his own. Right. That's kind of what I'm hoping like Alden can do. Mm-hmm. Or we can get Jesse Plemons.
Okay.
To be The Thing.
Okay.
I just watched him in Antlers, which was a horror movie, but he was also in Breaking Bad. He was in The Power of the Dog, Windfall. He's a great, phenomenal actor. Mm-hmm. So I think even if you do kind of take away his face, he could bring it as a voice actor.
Right. So I just want to point out too, I just sent in our Discord the picture that sold me on Finn Wolfhard, and you cannot tell me if you look at this picture that this is a young Johnny Storm who will grow up to potentially be that player kind of guy. In the general on Discord.
Okay, I can see it.
Yeah, see, you can see it. It's like,
but only for
it's
your
still
story.
Young, right? I wouldn't do him now for like if they were like in their 30s type. I would not cast them. But as a young, still learning their powers kind of Johnny Storm, 100%. He's got that look.
I think that's fair.
So for The Thing, I have two castings. I would love to see Troy Baker, who is primarily a video game voice actor, extremely famous for voicing Joel from The Last of Us. But what I was really looking forward for is someone who's super experienced, got a lot of experience in acting. But I wanted to keep, for this and for Doctor Doom, I wanted to focus mainly on the voice acting. Because obviously these are characters that aren't going to be like actually having their faces shown. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to have someone who's a legend in the voice acting industry, hasn't really broken into film all that much. But if you've ever played video games, you've probably heard him voice a character that you've played a game. And him as Joel is just one of the best performances ever. It's gruff, it's gritty, and that fits kind of what I was going for The Thing.
I think that's fair.
And then my other pick is in kind of a similar but different contrast is Keith David. Okay. So also that gruff sort of like hero character voice, but older, more experienced.
I like that pick.
Yeah. Who do you got for Doctor Doom?
All right. So here's where I'm going to show some variance, deviate from the norm, if you will. Mm-hmm. I don't think Doctor Doom is going to be the villain in this first Fantastic Four. I don't think that he is. I think that he's going to be a much bigger picture into like this Marvel verse. So I think I'll just tell you who I'm going to have play him. Again, I have two names, but my first name was Timothy Oliphant,
Mm-hmm.
I know him from
It's
being...
a great pick.
Thank you. He was in Santa Clara Diet. He was briefly in The Office as the cool salesman who Jim and Dwight were afraid of taking their job. I think he was in the Book of Boba Fett as well.
He was in Mandalorian. As well as Boba Fett.
Same difference.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. No, he was like a local sheriff on Tatooine, which I thought was the greatest role he could have ever done. Him as a cowboy is amazing, and he was in a cowboy TV show for a long time as well.
Yeah. So what I have visioned here is he is Doctor Doom, and traditionally Doctor Doom has been like Reed Richards' like enemy, and they've kind of grown up together and tried to outsmart each other. But Timothy Olyphant is older than both of my picks. So instead, I'm going to have him be like a teacher or a mentor to Reed.
Interesting.
And grow jealous that Reed is smarter instead of just having him be like the same age and just competitive like that. But yeah, I think he won't be the main villain. I think because I saw he's going to be in teased in Black Panther, Wakanda Forever at the end. So I think he could kill it. He's got like that charisma, swagger that could really just steal the show.
Right. I think that's a good pick.
And then, sorry, my other pick was Luke Evans.
Oh, yeah, you have two.
Yeah.
Okay.
Luke Evans, he's been in Dracula Untold, which regrettably I saw in theaters. It wasn't his fault. He was a very good Count Dracula, or whatever Dracula. But he's been in The Alienist, Anna. He was in the movie Ma, which was a horror movie that I liked. He's a bit more closer in age to everyone else. So if my story does kind of go back to they're the same age, just constantly competing, there's my pick.
Interesting. I like those picks.
Thank you.
I went with again, I'm looking at voice actors. Because I want to have like a knockout voice actor to play Doctor Doom, and I do have it where Doctor Doom is like actually in this movie and is the big bad. So I went with Mark Hamill.
Okay.
And the reason I went with Mark Hamill is because, I mean, obviously he's Luke Skywalker, but more than that, he is one of the most legendary voice actors in the industry. Yes, he voiced the Joker. He was Firelord Ozai in the Avatar Last Airbender series. He played Skeletor in Master of the Universe. I mean, he is a legend, and he's really good at playing a villain character, and I want someone who can channel that into a voice acting. I'm going Mark Hamill. Every day out of the week, I'm going Mark Hamill.
I like that pick. I think my Doom is going to spend a lot of time without the mask. I'm not going to go down this suit as the 2015 film where he just becomes like a metal
he just
man.
Is. Yeah.
I'm sticking with like going back to 2005 where it's just a costume he puts on. Yeah. So I like that.
Interesting.
So I will say this. The villain I am picking for this movie, and I did some research, because off the bat I was like, okay, if I don't want Doom to be the main villain, don't really want Surfer. Those are too big. They've been done before. I thought about Kang because of all the variants and whatnot, but he's going to be in the Ant-Man movie, so I want to give him a break. The first ever villain I found out in the Fantastic Four universe was a man by the name of Mole Man.
Mole Man?
Mole Man.
Oh, Lord.
He is like there's like a world underneath our world. He's the king of the mole people. I think that it would be a fun variation.
It would. And 100%.
I'm taking Elijah Wood.
To play Mole Man, I love it. I love it.
I think if you just pick someone straight out of the middle of the earth, I think that would look a lot like Elijah Wood, respectfully.
Well, I mean, he did come from Middle Earth.
Exactly.
So, all right, and then last sort of thing before we wrap up, the cameo.
They have to have a cameo.
I don't even have like an actual casting. I've got, for me, Doctor Strange, I feel is just going to appear in that movie. When it happens. But what I would really like is not specifically a character, but I would love for them to introduce more mutants. Since they've started introducing mutants now. Mm-hmm. If you haven't seen Miss Marvel, it's a thing at the end of Miss Marvel. So I would love to see that come some more as well.
Yeah, I also had I think a pretty boring pick, but I'm taking Tom Holland's Spider-Man to make an appearance, because now that following No Way Home, no one knows who he is. I don't think he's going to be a part of any new Avengers team. I think he's hanging around New York, and he gets kind of brought into the Fantastic Four group. Not as like an actual member, but one of their buddies, now that he can start from scratch.
Right. Well,
I'm pretty happy with my casting. All right, let's hear this pun of yours that you've been.
So to end this podcast, I want to bring in a pun. I want to start bringing in some dad jokes, because I love dad jokes. I want to just trickle them out as we end the podcast. And so, the dad joke that I want to end with today. Connor, why do fathers take an extra pair of socks when they go golfing?
I don't know, Aaron, why?
Just in case they get a hole in one.
Goodbye,
my name's Aaron Souza.
Goodbye.
And this is Connor. We'll see you next time on the Film Box podcast.
Peace out.